So the main function of vitamin D is to maintain calcium levels in the blood. Now, vitamin D does that by increasing our ability to absorb calcium from our food through our intestines. The other way that vitamin D maintains our calcium levels in the blood is it actually causes the bone to leach calcium into the blood along with inorganic phosphate. So the other role that vitamin D has is to maintain our phosphorus levels in the blood, and phosphorus is critical for maintaining our acid-base balance. Now remember that calcium is the most abundant mineral in our body, so maintaining optimum levels of calcium in the blood and in the bone are critical for proper health. Now, symptoms of a deficiency for vitamin D include insomnia, osteoporosis, heart disease, cancer, autoimmune disease, depression, diabetes, autism, bone and back pain, impaired wound healing, dementia, cognitive impairment, neurotransmitter imbalance, chronic pain, seasonal affective disorder, and rheumatoid arthritis. Now, the two primary definitions for a vitamin D deficiency are rickets and osteomalacia. Now, rickets is usually a diagnosis reserved for children, and that is characterized by deformed bones and stunted growth, while osteomalacia is usually diagnosed in adults, which is characterized by weakened bones. Now, both rickets and osteomalacia are caused by a demineralization of the bone. Okay, so for toxicity symptoms, you can actually have too much vitamin D in the body. And so if you're living close to the equator, for multiple generations, you'll probably have darker skin, and that is to prevent vitamin D toxicity. And what happens when you suffer from vitamin D toxicity is that calcium starts, soft tissues in the body, specifically the kidneys, start to become calcified, and you can actually get kidney stones from having too much vitamin D in the body. So the symptoms of toxicity include unusual thirst, a metallic taste, bone pain, fatigue, sore eyes, itching skin, vomiting, diarrhea, and urinary urgency. Okay, so on the board here, I have the synthesis of vitamin D. Now on the top left here, we have 7-dehydrocholesterol, and I've also have in these red brackets here of the vitamin D3 version and the vitamin D2 version. Now the vitamin D2 version is what you'll often find in supplements and fortified food. If it's not specifically labeled as vitamin D3, you're likely to get vitamin D2, and vitamin D2 is primarily synthesized in plants. Now again, we start with 7-dehydrocholesterol, and that is largely found on the skin in the epidermis. Now when we walk out into the sunshine or just sunlight, our skin will get hit with the rays of the sun, and it's these UV rays between 230 and 313 that actually initiate the process of synthesizing vitamin D from 7-dehydrocholesterol. Now this is a spontaneous process where you need no enzymes at all to help carry out this process, and I have these two green arrows indicating that is a two-step reaction. Okay, so from the skin with light, we initiate the 7-dehydrotestosterone conversion into vitamin D. The first intermediate is cholecalciferol, and that is the inactive form of vitamin D, and that is the molecule that is entirely in black here. Now this is inactive, so it has no biological function for us yet, but this molecule then enters the liver, and inside the liver it has these two enzymes here along with oxygen that are used to add this hydroxyl group. And now these two enzymes, CYP27A1 and CYP2R1, are both cytochrome p450s along with this additional enzyme down here in the kidneys. So all three of these enzymes are part of this cytochrome p450 family. Anyways, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So anyways, from the liver, we add this hydroxyl group up here, and that converts it to this other intermediate 25-hydroxycholcalciferol. Now, when this molecule leaves the liver, it enters the kidneys for its final hydroxyl group, which actually yields the active form of vitamin D. Now, in the kidneys, again, with the help of cytochrome p450 and oxygen, we add this last hydroxyl group, which yields our active vitamin D3, or I guess D2, vitamin/hormone as 1-alpha-25 dihydroxycholcalciferol. So this is the active form of vitamin D. Okay, so again, it's this form of vitamin D that is the active form with these two additional hydroxyl groups attached to cholcalciferol. And both the dietary versions of vitamin D2 and vitamin D3 both yield a biologically active product for us. Now I want to take a moment to bring up these cytochrome p450 enzymes. It is a massive family of enzymes. There's about 50 different variations of cytochrome p450s in our body, and they all require porphyrin rings, and this is also known as a heme group. So these are prosthetic groups for these enzymes. So these prosthetic heme groups allow the enzyme to fold correctly so they can function properly. If you are not making these porphyrin rings, it is unlikely that these enzymes here are going to be able to function properly, and you may not be able to yield the active version of vitamin D. Now, for us to make these porphyrin rings internally, I found that these vitamins are critical, which are thiamine, riboflavin, sulfur, vitamin B3 or niacin, pantothenic acid, vitamin B6. I found 8 atoms of zinc, and then it's iron. It's iron that actually sits right in the center of these porphyrin rings. Now, vitamin D is fat soluble, so we store it in our bodies. We store it in the fat cells in the liver, the brain, skin, and bones. Now, one other thing I want to bring up here are these statins. So statins are primarily designed to prevent us from synthesizing our own cholesterol, which is the base molecule for vitamin D. So if you are taking statins, you want to be very cognizant of any of the deficiency symptoms I mentioned in the beginning of this video. And you may want to talk to your doctor about supplementing with a vitamin D, vitamin, supplementing with vitamin D. So anyways, be cognizant if you are taking statins, and talk to your doctor about supplementing with vitamin D. Okay, there you go.